Reverend Solomon Kinloch Jr., thank you for the time. We wanted to spend an opportunity kind of going through your plans, your policies, what things would look like. So let me just start here. In the first 90 days in office, if elected, what would you like to accomplish in those 90 days?
First of all, reassure the citizens of the city that the continuity of services will continue, that their trash will continue to get picked up, that the lights, street lights will continue to be on, and that their 911 calls will be answered. The second thing we would do is making sure that we engage not just our local officials, elected officials and stakeholders, but also our state officials, and also spend some time in Washington to collaborate on how we can move the area forward. The second thing that we would do is make sure that we take an evaluation of our top leadership, because we don't want people to think just because we're transitioning leadership that we want everyone to transition out. We want people to take a new approach in order to deliver services and excellence for the residents of this city. And then convene a table of all of the stakeholders with our residents in order to make sure they're partnering in what the reimagining of Detroit look like. We don't want citizens to feel like they're afterthought. We want them to be the first thought.
There are, and I don't know how many, but lots of department heads in the city of Detroit.
Exactly.
Would you anticipate keeping most of them, replacing some of them? Do you have any thoughts that far down the road?
I believe that we have some of the most gifted and talented individuals working in our administration. I believe that there are opportunities for those that have been working to see elevation and to see a promotion. And we would certainly look at ways that we can do that. But we also want to continue to be very attractive for other talent that's in the area or outside the area to come and be a part of what we believe can happen here in the city of Detroit.
You mentioned convening a table. There has been so much discussion about the growth and the longevity of the city of Detroit.
Yes.
As you saw in the latest poll,
yes.
a lot of people are happy with what's
yes.
happening in Detroit,
yes.
but that's a lot of conversation focused on the downtown core and not necessarily the suburbs
yes.
and the neighborhoods. What would you do to try to bring every Detroiter
exactly.
to the table to see some of that prosperity?
And Nick, I'm glad you brought up that, because no one is suggesting that there are not good things happening in the city of Detroit. We're just saying that it's not good enough because it's not inclusive enough. We've come a long ways, we've come far, but we still got a long ways to go, particularly when you look at these startling numbers, that 51% of our children are still locked in poverty right here in the city of Detroit. So that means whatever is happening, it has not penetrated beyond downtown. It has got to be more intentional in the community. And one of the things that we would do, we would ask our philanthropic partners. I would open up an office of philanthropy.
You're going to fundraise?
Yes, yeah. The money is already on the table. And they're doing a lot of good. Look at what Kresge is doing with Marygrove, the almost $200 million that they're investing. The money is already on the table. What we would do is make sure that we're coordinating those efforts so we can work collaboratively and collectively in order to make sure that we're not just doing good, but the good that we're doing is actually doing some good.
That number you just mentioned, 51% of Detroit children below the poverty line, is heartbreaking to say the least.
Oh my Lord.
How do we solve that? What can you do to try to boost up these families and these children so they are not living in poverty?
We have to make sure that we're putting them on a pathway to prosperity. One of the ways that we do that is the Kinloch plan says, let's start a children's trust fund. So every child that's born in the city of Detroit and remains in the city of Detroit at birth, they get a $1,000 investment. And every year through private-public partnership, that amount is increased until they get to the age of 18. When they get to the age of 18 and that money has been invested, look at what they can do with it. They can use it to go to college. They can use it to go to vocational school. They can use it to buy a house. They can use it to invest in their community. They can use it in order to put them on a path to a career or to college.
What about, though, in the interim, when they're 6, 7, 12 years old, and some are getting jobs or trying to help mom and dad because there's not enough money coming in, and they're making decisions on whether they pay their electric bill or put food on the table?
Well, what we have to do is make sure that we're leveraging our resources in the city in order to make sure that their parents are in a place where they can participate in the equitable jobs. We have great industries that are already in the city of Detroit. We got to make sure that we're doing a better job with skilled trades programs, with apprenticeship programs, with partnership with the school and partnerships with the universities and colleges to make sure that we're training our workforce. Development is going on all around us in the city of Detroit. Why are not more of us participating? And we have got to make sure that we're intentional about making sure that we're connecting our citizens to those opportunities and not just have corporations and big developers pay fine because they say we don't have an adequate prepared force.
Your housing and affordability
Yes.
plan is aggressive. You're calling for
Yes.
10,000 affordable units right off the bat.
Yes.
How?
Right now, all we got to do is continue to do what we see already happening. Look at what Brinker and Tobias Harris are doing with Kresge. They have come up with an affordable model. We have to find an affordable model. We have to change the type of model we use so that we can afford to build it, so that when we are selling it to the residents of the city, they can afford it. How can you call it affordable housing if the people in the city can't afford to buy it? And then we have to intensify our down payment assistance program. That is one of the greatest obstacles for putting people on a pathway to building generational wealth. And we will continue to partner with our financial institutions in order to create models for that. But also we'll cut the red tape at City Hall that makes it so cumbersome for people to want to even do development. And that's an administrative function that the mayor can intensely and intentionally do something about.
In terms of public safety, Detroit has gotten better.
Yes.
Right? You look at the numbers. But you look at this past summer, and it doesn't look great, especially with crimes and gun violence involving our children. How do you try to solve that issue, knowing that a lot of the problems just start with very basic things about gun control and locking them up in a safe?
And it's a spike, Nick, over 30% just this summer alone. As a pastor, I'm tired of standing in my pulpit eulogizing our young children who've been taken out of our life too soon. That's life in reversal, to see mothers and fathers sitting on that front row and have to bury their children. No parent believes that they should have to bury their children or want to bury their children. They believe that their children would be around to bury them. What we will do is make sure that we increase the awareness of gun storage. But we can't just do punitive things like city council and want to put into place now where you're just fining parents. The root cause of crime is always poverty. And what we have to do is making sure that we give our children alternatives. So we talked about how to deal with poverty, but also we got to give them an alternative place in space. And we did that at Triumph Church, creating what we call Sanctuary Saturdays, where children come in early in the morning, eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and they have a plethora of programs that they can participate in, and we give them incentive, because we're going to spend money to get good children who get into trouble out of trouble. Why not spend those resources to make sure that good children stay on a good path?
A lot of this conversation is on children, which is great.
Yes.
Looking at education, obviously DPS sees numbers not where we'd like them to be, both in terms of reading rates, even absenteeism. That is not your role. You are not the school district.
Yes.
But is there something the mayor can do to help the children in those schools?
I tell people often, it may not be the mayor's job, but it's not just the mayor. It's all of our responsibility to make sure that our children are not just surviving, but thriving. Yes, I would appoint a chief educational officer, not to do the job of the superintendent. I want that to be clear. It is not to usurp the job of the
Is he okay with this plan?
Yeah, I talked to the superintendent, had a meeting with him myself some time ago, and he understands that my intent when I'm mayor is to make sure that we partner the city's resources with the school district in order to make sure we're doing everything possible to make sure our children have everything they need. They are seeking to do an aggressive job educating our children, and we got to make sure that when our children show up to that classroom that they have what they need in order to be the best student they can.
Looking at Detroit's infrastructure, that is going to be long-term problem, from roads to bridges to sewers and everything else. again, in your role, what can you do to not only put us on the proper path for infrastructure, but find the money to repair what's there?
Well, that's the benefit of collaboration, because it's still going to take a collaboration. You're talking about billions of dollars that are going to be needed to improve the infrastructure in the city of Detroit. I mean, just look at what's going on right now in certain parts of this city. You got certain parts of this city where the infrastructure is just, I mean, it's a mess, and then it's labeled a flood zone so that they can't even get access to development dollars. I will continue to work with the authority. I continue to work with the sewage department and our state and our federal elected officials in order to make sure that we are partnering to get those dollars, and the public sector as well. Because one of the things Detroit does have, they have people who are interested in seeing the best out of Detroit. And I believe we can do a better job of leveraging that.
I want to ask you about equity, inclusion, and particularly DEI initiatives. There's been a lot of conversation with our current administration at the federal level about whether they're effective or not. What's your stance on them?
We have to make sure that we give people equal playing field at the end of it. All of us didn't start off in the same place. Nick, I grew up in Detroit. I grew up on the west side of Detroit where, you know, we had no running water. We had no operating utilities. I lived in a house that would be considered abandoned and dilapidated. I remember I almost got taken from my parents because of the condition of the housing we lived in. And so everyone don't start off in the same place. But we got to make sure that the residents in this city and in this country that want an opportunity, as the record says, to pursue happiness in their own individual way, are giving those resources. And at the end of the day, nobody's asking for a handout. We're just asking for you to give us some help so we can become the best of who we are.
I'm sure you saw the poll that came out recently. Currently, your competitor, Mary Sheffield, at 64%, you at 14%. What are your thoughts on what those
I
numbers
always ask the question, who are you talking to? Because I'm out here talking to thousands of people every day. And the people I'm talking to, when we look at a poll, remember, it's only a fraction of people, 500 over a very short period of time. But I'm out here talking to thousands of Detroiters every day. And the thousands of Detroiters that I talk to every day are not included in those polls. They are individuals that understand the crisis that they face. Just think about this for a moment. When you look at more than half of the children in poverty, are we really saying, and do we really want people to believe that the majority of the people that's in poverty is saying that they okay with the direction this city is going when it's not inclusive of them? The people I'm talking to don't feel like they are included, and that's the reason I got in this race, because I need the people of this city to understand, if you don't vote, if you don't get engaged, you'll let a few people make decisions for you, and it won't include you.
Yeah, I have two more questions for you. The first one is about voter turnout. It has not been great in the city of Detroit. What would you say to voters right now who are considering whether or not to go to the ballot box on election day?
They have,
or absentee, or whatever you're going to do, because you can do it 100 ways now.
Well, not to vote is to vote, because when you don't vote, you are actually allowing your non-vote in order to give an advantage to seeing what's happening that you don't want to happen. And that's why I got in the race, because our people need to be inspired. There has not been an intentional get out the vote campaign in our area for a long time. You got more than 80% of the constituency that did not participate in the primary. We have got to change that. When you see an uptick in voter engagement, you start seeing revolutionary and radical changes. And that's why I got in. I'm trying to touch the people in the city of Detroit to say, listen, if you don't take a seat at the table, then your chair is not going to be at the table. And this system is not going to be available to help build you up. It will continue to leave you in a posture and position you've been in.
I'm going to give you 60 seconds here, kind of a closing statement. Why Kinloch?
Kinloch has been rocking for the people in the city of Detroit for 27 years. Look at what I've done at Triumph Church. I took a church from less than 100 people to more than 40,000 families. We weren't asked to do it, but we distributed 10,000 laptops. We fed thousands of people in our community. We set up campuses across the metropolitan area, did collaboration and cooperations with our citizens. If I could do that as the senior pastor of Triumph Church in 27 years, just think about what creativity I can do if I became the next mayor of the city of Detroit.
Okay, Robert.
Thank you, Nick.
Good
I
luck
appreciate
on
you.
November 4th.
Thank you. I appreciate you.